Hello and welcome to the preview show from RamsTV. Derby County resume their EFL Trophy campaign tonight. The Rams are away at Mansfield, where a victory will see them through to the knockout stages. And we are midway through the schedule in Northern Group F. 3 games played, 3 to go. Tonight is Mansfield's final fixture. A win for them could make things interesting, with Derby and Grimsby still able to get to 6 points as well. But it's simple equation for Derby really. Win and a top 2 spot in the group will be secured. Well, last season, eventual winners Rotherham made it through the group with a 100% record. They scored 15 goals in the process as well. Well, the management team that led them to glory is now in charge at Pride Park Stadium. And we've been getting to know Paul Warne and his staff over the last week or two. Assistant manager Richie Barker and the boss go back a long way.
Well, we've known each other over 20 years. We played together from 2000, I think, till about 2004, 2005, before we actually both went to Mansfield after that. He went on loan and I went permanently. We ended up sort of keeping in touch, I suppose, really through our wives and our children who were born. Our 2 boys were born a few months apart, then our 2 daughters were born a few months apart. And our wives kept in touch and were quite good friends, and we ended up both staying in the game. Obviously, I ended up being a manager in 2011 and he went on to the fitness side. So we always kept in contact and talk about, you know, ideas, and we did our PGCE teaching degree together as well when we'd both, I think he might have still been playing, but I'd just finished, I think, with a knee injury. So we both went to college and did our PGCE together for 2 years. So we spent a lot of time doing that. And like I say, kept in touch. And then, whatever it was, 5, 6 years ago, probably 6 years ago, around about now, I think I'd just gone to Charlton. I was assistant manager at Charlton, and Paul was given the caretaker role initially, and then the permanent role, and rang me and said, I'm going to take the role on a permanent basis. I need somebody to come and help me. Would you come and help? So I had the conversation with Carl Robinson, who was very kind to allow me to go and work with my mate at my hometown club. And 5.5 years later, we were still there.
You had tremendous success at Rotherham, as everyone knows. What was your reaction when he told you there might be another club that wants us?
Firstly, pleasing off the back of, not in a disrespectful way to Rotherham, but it meant that our work was getting recognised elsewhere, which I think, off the back of the first promotion, the club being in the Championship for a few years, everyone was just like, well, that's, it's just a bounce back, so we sort of almost should. And then the second time was a bit like, oh, right, maybe these guys are not bad at this. But then we had I think that was the COVID year. So then we had people throwing at us that, oh, actually, if it hadn't been for COVID, you wouldn't have gone up. And then to do it the third time, I think, and obviously off the back of the winning the Papa John's as well, meant that we were starting to get recognised, or Paul was obviously as the manager. So pleasing that we were getting some kind of external recognition. And then obviously, a lot of conversations about, is it the right thing for us to do? Is it the right thing for Rotherham United? And is it the right thing for Derby County? Because it wasn't just about us, it was about what we were leaving behind and what we were coming into. So, but the football club is a massive football club. It's a Premiership club in size, and we just felt that it was an opportunity for us to one day maybe, get an opportunity to work at that level.
You've arrived with a packed fixture list, something like 8 games in the month of October alone. And on Tuesday, EFL Trophy away at Mansfield, a competition that I'm sure you're going to take seriously, given that the defending champions. We think the competition's important for many reasons. One, it gives opportunities to players who are on the fringes of the squad, which is important when you've just had a new managerial team take over. It's important for younger players. I'm sure there's many, and this football club's got a great history over the last few years of producing younger players, so I'm sure a lot of them have played their first games at this level. But thirdly, it's a competition that you've got an opportunity to win. I know we've got the League Cup coming up in a few weeks, but the last time a third division or a third tier team got to the final of the League Cup or the FA Cup, it doesn't happen very often. So someone's got to win it, and somebody's going to get an opportunity to play at Wembley in front of what I'm sure, if we got the chance, would be a massive crowd. And it's, for some players, maybe the only opportunity they're going to get to play at Wembley. So initially, I get it, it's a group stage, the aim is to get out of it, and it can sometimes take focus away from the league, which we are definitely not, we're not going to do that. But ideally, would we like a cup run that runs alongside it to give people opportunities and then maybe lift a trophy? That's what you start thinking about a little bit further down the line. But yeah, the aim is to get out of the group stages. And Richie Barker has a lot of love for his former club, Mansfield, who he comes up again tonight. You can hear more from him in Matchday Live from the earlier time tonight of 6:30 here on RamsTV. Well, someone else who knows Barker and Warne pretty well is the former Derby and Rotherham midfielder Ben Pringle. He also, of course, played for Nigel Clough. He was signed by him from non-league when Clough was the Derby manager, getting on for 10 years ago now. We've been catching up with Ben ahead of tonight's game. He's been telling us about the impact that Paul Warne had on his career.
I mean, it was no covering up that I had a bad time when I first signed for Rotherham. I didn't play for about 7 months. And Warney was still playing. But yeah, I think the first thing that I seen of him was just that he was probably the most positive guy I've ever come across in football. That was my first impressions of him. That was as a player. And then obviously the year after he retired and he became the fitness coach. So yeah, he was massive in kind of changing the way that my career at Rotherham started.
Did he change when he went from teammate to coach, or was that personality the same?
Yeah, pretty much the same. I think I can't really remember him too much as a player. I can just remember him as fitness coach the season after, and I thought, I don't know if I like this guy because he's that positive, and he that's the way that he is. I just thought he can't be this positive all the time, but obviously, as you've seen what he's like, that's the way that he is. So, but yeah, I don't think he changed. He was the same with me, kind of all the way through. And we knew, obviously, back then that I always said, and a few of the lads said that he would always make a great manager just because of what he was like as a person, forgetting football tactics, all the rest of it. That's half the battle as a manager, I think, and he nailed it, every time.
Are there any sort of stories you can tell us about your time with him? Anything repeatable?
I mean, obviously, when Steve Evans came in, that's kind of when it all started to get a bit entertaining. Warney was the guy in the middle as such between the players and the manager. So, yeah, the Steve Evans stories, there's too many. But Warney, I don't know how he did it. He was kind of playing, the peacemaker in between the players and Steve Evans. And he would have, he'd be putting fires out all over the place, to be honest. He must have had, multiple personalities, one to go into Steve Evans and then obviously take all the banter off us. But yeah, he did it really well. But yeah, there's too many to mention. But yeah, we had some great times. Obviously got promoted twice. And even when we stayed up in the Championship that season but yeah, every day under Steve Evans was pretty memorable.
Because that's the thing. Despite everything you hear about Steve Evans' time at Rotherham, you did have success on the pitch. Clearly, even if you sort of were at war with him a little bit. How important was Paul Warne in sort of making sure that everybody got on and that you had that success?
No, 100%. I think without him, I don't think we would have had as much success. Like I say, he was kind of peacemaker in between, whether it was Steve Evans saying that we weren't doing enough and we weren't training or working hard. He would kind of always have the players' backs and go back to the gaffer and say, you're wrong, or they've done this, and vice versa. When we weren't doing enough, he'd be like, listen, he's on to you need to pick it up. So it worked really well. And like I say, he was kind of the middleman, and he had a lot going on his plate. He was doing all kinds of jobs, but remained positive and was a great guy throughout.
What was your reaction when you heard that he was taking the Derby job?
I was buzzing for him. I think, like I say there, back then, we always knew that because of the personality that he's got, he would make a great manager. And I said before, like some managers, they don't talk to their players, they don't have that relationship. He's not like that at all. So, and like I say, I think that's half the battle. So he's done a great job at Rotherham, and yeah, it's I'm delighted for him that he's stepped up to a massive club.
And nice to catch up with Ben Pringle. It isn't a long since Derby's last trip to the One Call Stadium. Of course, that EFL Cup first round tie back in August, despite losing on the night, Mansfield have been ticking over quite nicely since. They've only lost 3-11 in all competitions. They sit just inside the League Two playoff places. The club has won this competition before, though that was way back in 1987. They haven't made it past the group stages for a couple of years now. And they did get to Wembley last season, of course, losing in the League Two playoff final. Mansfield, managed by the former Derby coaching staff, Nigel Clough and company. Andy Garner has followed him everywhere he's been.
Yeah, obviously local club for me as a player and obviously as a coach. So, yeah, many memories at Derby, and yeah, it's a fantastic club. It'll be an interesting one because obviously we had Paul on in the Rotherham pre-season, so he'll know everything about us. It'll be interesting what sort of team they put out. They've had a fantastic result at Cambridge on Saturday. Yeah, looking forward to seeing what sort of team we get, and looking forward to the game.
What sort of side are you expecting from them?
I'm not too sure, really. I think he praised us so much after the game against Rotherham and said how good we was, honestly. So I'm not sure what he's going to do. I think he might play a couple. Put 2 or 3 in there, but we'll see. I mean, obviously, the league's more important for them, which it is for us, really. But we want to win a football match.
Do you think he's a good fit for Derby, Paul Warne?
Yes, yeah, totally. I think his record stands for himself. He's done a fantastic job at Rotherham. It's a big club. Lots of expectations, but I think he is a good fit for it. He's got the pedigree. Hopefully, the players respond. I don't think it's a case of bringing too many people in, but I think he's got enough players at that squad certainly to do well this season.
And can you believe it's 9 years now since Garner, Clough and co left Pride Park Stadium. Just before we go, let's hear again from the Derby camp ahead of tonight's game. Erin Cashin continued his run of playing every single minute of the league campaign in Saturday's victory at Cambridge United, and he goes up against his hometown club Mansfield again tonight.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I think it was good to get a win away on Saturday. It was a good result, and we performed well and we worked hard, and it was nice to finally score and a win away from home, which was good. But yeah, we'll just take it into tomorrow, make sure we're at it, make sure we win again, and try and get a run put together. Yeah,
Saturday was the perfect start, wasn't it, for the new management team? How have you found them so far?
Yeah, they've been really good. They've been really nice, warm, welcoming. But he's made changes in the way that we want to play, and he's basically come in and just simplified it a little bit, and basically just said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to work harder than them. We're going to press from the front. We're going to get at them all game. Relentless and get after them. And then when we have the ball, let's just get the ball wide. Let's get one-on-ones. And he's backed to us as a better team to be able to beat the opposition no matter who we come up against.
He's been really entertaining with the media. What's Paul Warne been like in team meetings and behind the scenes and one-on-one with you?
He's exactly the same, to be honest. Yeah, he's a good crack. But he can be serious, Like he has a good banter and stuff, and that's enjoyable. But when it's time to be serious, he is, and obviously he gives that information across and gives us what we need to know going into games.
You talk about the change, and I think there was a noticeable change with how you were playing at the weekend. How much work has gone into making that? Because you've not had a lot of time with the new team, have you?
Yeah, listen, I had a bit of an international break as well, so I was a bit behind the other lads. I had 2 days to catch up on what I'd missed. So them few days I was just really concentrating on what I needed to know. And to be fair, they've been great with us all, and got a lot of information into us very quickly. And obviously there's still things we can work on and still things that we can improve on, but overall, I think we've took it in quite well, and obviously, looking forward, I think that's how we're gonna improve.
Let me ask you about international duty. 2 more caps for Ireland's under-21s. Not the results that you wanted, but you must have been proud.
Yeah, obviously, it's always an honour to represent my country, and we, the lads that I was with are great lads, and it was an honour. Unfortunately, we didn't qualify for the under-21 Euros, but. It was a good shift, and it was unfortunate, down to penalties. It's tough way to go out, but obviously proud of the lads and proud of what we did. So. And
I just wonder for you, sort of taking a step back from it all. This time a year ago, you were in the first team squad, but you weren't able to play, and I know that was difficult and that was frustrating. And you look at you now, ever present in the league, haven't missed a minute. Do you sort of stop and think about how your situation has changed?
Not well, until you say it, not really. I'm trying to, it's a short career, and I think I'm just going to try and keep kicking on, Obviously, it's nice to know that I've played every minute and stuff like that, but I want to play every minute for every game for the whole season, So, as much as it's nice to look back and look where I've come from, I think more importantly, it's for me to look forward and look at, 1, how I can get better, and 2, how I can keep going and keep improving.
Ready for another warm welcome from the home fans tomorrow?
Yeah, can't wait.
Now that's it for now. Remember, Matchday Live is with you from the earlier time of 6:30 tonight. Head to dcfc.co.uk to get your match pass now. You can watch tonight's game worldwide, including right here in the UK. If you can't be at the One Call Stadium, you'll get the best coverage of your team right here on RamsTV. Goodbye for now.